Welcome to the Make School Great Again podcast, where we challenge the status quo in education and cast a bold kingdom vision for the next generation. I'm Kale, and I'm here with my co-host James, and today we have a very special guest, James's wife, Jennifer, who's joining us to share their family's journey of homeschooling across the globe. And our thesis for today's episode is this: homeschooling isn't about perfection. It's about aligning with God's vision for your family's discipleship. And there is more support, there's flexibility and joy than most parents realize. So whether you're just starting out, feeling overwhelmed, or wondering if you've got what it takes, this episode will encourage, equip, and remind you that you are not alone and you are more capable than you think. So with that being said, welcome, Jennifer. It's lovely to have you with us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
I'm so excited to dive into asking you all the things as somebody who's quite a seasoned homeschool parent. Before we do that, let's just jump into some stats as we normally do. And let's begin with the homeschooling growth that is happening in the US since 2020. In 2019, there were about 1.7 million students that were homeschooled in the US. And by 2023, that number has surged to over 3.1 million, which is obviously a growing trend. We've talked about this in previous episodes. It's, this idea or this push for more freedom, faith integration, and flexibility than the traditional system is offering.
Yeah.
Our second stat point is that the reasons for this are, there's a lot of, depending on which country you're in, I'm sure this would vary a little bit, but according to some Barna data, it indicates about 64 to 77% of homeschooling families cite religious or moral instruction as a primary motivation. And I think that I will hear from you both, I guess, from this perspective, but it's more than just that academic aspect and much more about how we raising, kingdom thinkers, but discipling our children rooted in faith.
Yes.
And our last step, which I think is probably the most pertinent to this episode, is that only 28% of homeschooling parents have a teaching background, yet 90% feel confident within a year.
Yes.
And so I think this raises a really good point that you don't need to be a trained teacher. And that's coming from, myself and James, who have been through the system, would strongly agree that you don't need to have had experience in that world to be successful in the homeschooling world. And it's something that, obviously confidence grows in time. So
Absolutely.
Let's jump straight in. I'd love to hear from you, Jennifer, about how it all started. Where did you come across homeschooling? Let's just go back to the beginning.
Yeah, sure. So I think it was 2000 I'd finished my Bachelor of Creative Arts, majoring in drama at Wesley Institute. What is it called now?
Excelsior College.
Yes. And I was then going to go ahead with my diploma of education to be a primary school teacher and a drama teacher. And I received a phone call from a lady who asked me if I was interested in teaching a group of homeschooling children drama. And my first question was, I paused and I said, "What's wrong with them?" I said, "What's wrong with?" And
She's the actual mum.
she's a mother. And she said, "Sorry, what do you mean?" I said, "Why are they homeschooled? What's their problems? What is their issues?" And she said, "Oh, no issues at all. We just chose to school our children ourselves and to not allow them, I guess, into the mainstream system for different reasons." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's just have a trial. I'll come and I'll check these." I was thinking, "Oh no, what am I going to come into? What are these kids going to be like? It's just going to be so bad." And I turned up and there was about 10 children and they were absolutely divine, gorgeous, sweet little children, and were very obedient and very sweet. And we hit it off. And that was week one. I was like, okay, so they're not as bad as what I thought, or
not normal.
yeah, that's right. And I continued, and I still kept thinking, oh, surely there's going to be something. Soon enough, I'm going to hit a roadblock. I'm going to go, oh, that's it. That's what they are like. That's the homeschoolers.
Mm.
And instead it grew to over 100 children, 150 children or something like that. I taught infants, primary, high school drama, and it became a huge community. And the kids were just fantastic. And that's how I started to watch homeschoolers, and I used to watch the mothers interacting with their children and how they would, I guess, said, pull out a picnic rug and sit there for the day while their kids went in and out of different classes. So after we created the drama, then we added on dance classes and music classes, and that's actually how James and I met as well. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's how it all came about. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, and what an experience to just jump into that world. And I guess, I mean, looking at my questions here, I have, what myth about homeschooling turned out to be completely untrue? I guess that was just explained.
Yes. Yeah.
That, for some reason that homeschooling kids are weird, or they're not able to, connect in with the rest of society, and what am I going to be walking into? Where that was proven to be completely the opposite. You're actually surprised.
Yes, correct. Absolutely. And you know what, like, I will say on that, I have taught at school as a teacher, and I have taught homeschoolers, and you're going to have children with learning disabilities and difficulties in both settings. And you're going to have children that have different needs, and families that are different and vibrant in different ways. Yep. And I'm sure you and the viewers understand what I'm saying by that. Yeah. You understand. Like, and it's no different. You can't run away from things or think, oh, this group here will be perfect. If I do it this way, it's going to be perfect. So I just want you to understand that homeschooling isn't perfect, but it is
really unique.
Yeah. And it's why I think it trumps going to school, but you're going to find your challenges.
Yeah. And I think it's such an important point, because for James and I have worked in schools for over 10 years. To say that that's a perfect system in the way that with the kids you have, and everyone's sort of a certain way, depending on the school, all these factors, it's the same, broadly speaking, the same issues that exist in a school largely exist in the homeschooling world. It's just that it's a different setting, right? You're not spending as much time together. So when you do get together, that's just part of the process and the journey. But this idea of like a hybrid co-op, like you were a part of, it sounds like that was put together to help overcome that curriculum overwhelm that I guess parents feel. And if they feel like they can partner with a community group or other families, that goes a long way. Is that what you saw with the other families that were joining?
Absolutely.
In that setting?
Yes, it was a fantastic community. And
it just grew and grew.
It grew and grew, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, can you imagine trying to teach your child one-on-one dance lessons?
Yeah.
Done it
at home. Done, with mum.
Yeah, with mummy. There and let's do a singing lesson, even though I don't sing.
Oh like Jennifer put on like incredible productions with these homeschool kids, and Les Mis and Pride and Prejudice, and like these are of a standard that, especially for the senior kids, beyond what we'd have time with a school group to be able to
they were utterly brilliant.
But again, you can't do that sort of drama with again in the home. Right, no, and Scarlett, you're going to be whoever it is. Like you just can't do it. And it's the same with music, and to go, all right, we might learn an instrument, but for them to have the opportunity to sing in choirs and choral singing, and how that brings together again, like that, those sort of opportunities, and co-op and connectedness was great.
Yes, definitely a positive.
Yeah, fantastic. And did you ever feel, I mean, I know you were sort of signed up to teach a certain topic in that space, but did you ever feel unqualified to teach maybe other topics or subjects in that time? Would that ever come up?
No. That's not then. That's now. So, I've been acting and performing for my whole life. So that's easy. I can do that with my eyes closed, teaching children, bringing out the best in them, working through different scene work and their fears, and, encouraging them through that whole process and watching them shine on that stage. But sitting down with my kids and teaching them year four math, like that's shocking. I cannot do maths, and I will never, ever, ever pretend to be someone that knows it all. I'm not very good with certain subjects, and And, there is definite ways to get around that, which I'm sure we'll be talking about today. So yeah, that's where I feel unqualified, or I have felt unqualified at times. And then you quickly have to go, right, I can't do that. How are we going to fix that problem right now? How are we going to move forwards with that so that my children get the best education of what they need so they can become better than I in this subject?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you mentioned. I'd love to just dive into that just a little bit further. You said, there's going to be subjects that we're unqualified to teach, and that's all of us, right? That's just reality. That's life. That's true of teachers.
Yeah.
In the school system. So, it's sort of this, I think sometimes parents feel the expectation to be probably, all knowing and the expert, on everything, where that's just, I guess, another myth. But the question of how do we, as parents, overcome those challenges? Like you said, okay, I can't do this. What are some ways to problem solve to be able to do it? What's that look like for you guys? Have you explored outsourcing? KTA, of course, you're part of.
I was just going to say KTA for starters. But yeah, sorry, as you're saying, you were asking how do we outsource
or overcome those challenges? Yeah,
sure. Yeah. So I think when you find a need, when you see that there is a gap there, it's well, to me, I'm sure most parents, it's a no-brainer. You go, okay, great. How are we gonna fix that? So for mathematics, I said to James, when we're doing maths to a certain level, year 4,
6. Can take them up to year 6 then.
I said, you need to take over with maths. And then from there, we get a tutor in, and the tutor sits with the kids once or twice a week so that they can extend in their maths. And then
we have also looks at a digital type of tutor or AI type of.
It can be anything you want. Yeah. Kumon. I loved Kumon I'm like, I really want to do Kumon. Anyway, Kumon was good.
Like Noah's maths, for example, doing year 7, which, I can do some of it, but his program, there is that sort of training from a digital evergreen type of going through the processes, and then we're able to double check it based on the answers. But instead of us having to do the teaching and explaining, there's the program as such that's able to do that.
Yeah.
So it's finding those things.
Oh yeah, that's right. Someone will come on the screen and speak with his work. But so then we do that, and then we obviously have KTA, and KTA has been fantastic to it covers HISI. So it's got our history and our science and geography. Not that I couldn't teach those subjects. It takes some load off myself, but I believe that those teachers are more equipped than I because they've focused on those lessons, whereas I tend to, and most mothers or fathers will, and there's nothing wrong with it. I actually love it. I'm learning with them. I don't have time. I have 5 children. I don't have time the night before to go, well, what am I teaching Scarlett today in history? And then I go and read it all and stand there and think it through. And then I have to do the same thing for Noah and Aquila and Sela. Like that's not going to happen. So I literally open up my book and we learn together, and we'll both go, oh, wow, I didn't know. I had no idea. That's fantastic. Well, let's write about that. And that's wonderful. But having these teachers come on board that already know the program and know what they're going to be teaching them about Peru or climbing the mountains of Peru. I don't know, what was Scarlett talking about the other day?
Theme focus that we have at KTA, that we sort of look at, multiple subjects, and naturally, your English and literature sort of falls into that as well. But that cross-curricular, like that, our focus at KTA, to go, all right, how are we focusing in or understanding a particular theme or main topic, and then looking at that from different
themes
perspectives
and topics are
great. And perspectives and avenues and different subjects, and allowing it to all cross over to have that real holistic, that approach to learning that we focus in on at KTA. So it feels that gap where, I guess, what Jennifer's going through is your typical literacy, numeracy. They're like our fundamentals to us.
I do them.
And then from there...
But I sit with the children to do English every day. Like they're the non-negotiables, spelling words, maths, because that's how we get, that's how we get through life. And
then instead of having to worry about, okay, where can we bring in these other curriculum areas and sort of building that out, KTA has been just a natural plug-in for us to then go, all right, here's our whole curriculum that our kids get to be a part of and learning and doing different things, and then also in community.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess that's a good segue into, I mean, you've talked about how it's looked for you and the benefits of KTA and other little third-party kind of plugins that can really get around all the kids and cover those areas that you're not, particularly have time for or don't feel experienced in. What's the typical day look like? Because I know now you're somewhat settled in a location, but prior to this, you were moving quite a lot. And we're probably very much in that world schooling schedule of being in a new country, city,
all the
multiple, a lot of times a month. So what did that look like? How did you manage that?
Yes.
And maybe what surprised you about how flexible and spontaneous learning can be?
Well, I hope this encourages new time homeschooling parents or just other homeschooling parents. See, every season has been different because we've lived on property. So chores were far more, and the children would be, collecting eggs and cleaning out chicken coops and bunny hutches and feeding different animals and going to collect milk off someone. And so we've done that season, and we hope to do it again long term. But that day of homeschooling I feel is longer in a way, maybe less schooling and more hands-on with the world and how to work a farm, how to live that way. So we've gone from that season, and then we've gone through a season of traveling the world, living in cities. And then the season of now we live in a city in Malaysia. And so there's less chores here. There's less chores. It's like make your bed, wash up. There's no dishwashing if you're outsized family. Don't get us started. So we're constantly washing up. So those types of things have all changed. What is the constant, and what I will never deter from, and that is so important, is our mornings are set and focused on Christ, and we will have praise and worship, and we will do a Bible study, and that might be in between school, like during morning tea time, or it might be at lunchtime. I'm not as strict on it has to be at 9 a.m. Some families are, and some families don't really do much at all. And so I guess my encouragement would be, no, you're homeschooling, you love the Lord, definitely integrate it. And so the day must have time with the Lord as a family unit, or James is working. So I'm with my children doing that. And then they must do at least their times tables, slang words, a bit of English and a bit of math. And then extracurricular activities can come into it. But then they must also have their time alone with God, reading the Bible, quiet time reading. So that then we can bring in so we've got some KTA work now to do. So we'll log on and do some of that. And we don't always get that done. And that's okay as well, mums and dads out there, and their teachers understand that. Like, some weeks I'll get all their schoolwork done with them for KT, and out of the weeks they'll just go, sorry, we didn't get it all done. And then they'll do, like, they have piano lessons or whatever we've got going on here. But I will say when we traveled, it was listening to children's podcasts, or really, I don't know how we found them. I would just Google what is a great podcast or a great educational video on. We're coming up to Stonehenge. And so we would listen to that. And so the kids were ready and understood what is going on with Stonehenge and how old it was and why it's there, and all the questions. And then we'd go into the Stonehenge or some ancient, like the baths of somewhere. I don't know. We've been to a gazillion places. We've been very, very blessed in that way. And then they'll get their little sketchbooks out and they'll sit down and they'll sketch the ancient
whatever it is
building.
Yeah.
That was basically their schooling then. For
so
2 years. So that's very different now to then. So we definitely have our songs in the car while traveling about Jesus. And we'd be praising him, and we do Bible time in the car. And then it was learning about what we're going to, what's ahead of us. And then there was some sketching, and that was about it. And then fast forward to now, Kale. I have literally sat with Noah, Scarlett and Aquila and caught them up on an entire year. So I hope this encourages you, mums, dads, grandparents, that they caught up on an entire year of schooling in what was it, one term, and then
term and a couple of weeks.
A term and a half, because I didn't sit down with bookwork to go, okay, now we're going to do all of this history and all this geography and all of this maths. As long as they just kept their spelling words and their times tables, reading, they always read, and it gave me a break as well. Go read. Quiet reading time. Quiet reading time now. And so I want the parent or the caregiver to understand that. See, I wasn't being strict there going, oh, we must get all this done. There was that parent going, oh no.
We haven't done schoolwork for 6 months.
Not James. He couldn't care. He didn't care. It was me, because it's on me. That's on my shoulders as a parent. I don't want them to get to 16, 17 and go, I don't know how to do anything. Yeah. I'm like, oh, what have I done? So, I would go to James, oh, I feel really bad. I'm really worried. So just every now and then, and he'd be like, I don't worry about it. And I'm like, I'm sure it'll.
Here's the castle. Or
yeah, we're looking at this castle.
Or whatever it might be.
This is their education.
Yeah.
And we're very fortunate that we open books up, Kale, and we're reading about beautiful places in Scotland or Ireland. And my children can say, I've been there. And I understand that is a incredible blessing. And to be able to say that to the kids can go, remember when we were here and we did this? That's their education, whereas most children don't get to say that. They can go, imagine what it would look like. Let's look up a photo of that. We can go, let's look at the photos of you standing there.
Yeah. No, and all of that, I hear intentionality and flexibility. So it's not like it's this sort of open-ended, we just kind of go with the flow. No, there's things that you structure in, but then it allows you to be flexible with just life and what's happening.
Absolutely.
And so
and there's always room to catch up.
Yeah. Yes. And even just the idea of like going on a holiday, we're so conditioned to think we go on a holiday, we stop learning, we get to go on a holiday. When students that are with our program say they're going on a holiday, it's not, I always say to them, this is like the best version of learning because you're actually going somewhere. So it's a holiday, but learning doesn't stop. It never stops for anyone.
No.
It's just the program has some parameters. That's really it. It doesn't mean that learning stops, and I think for a lot of families, that's something that they have to wrap their head around, that the term time in a traditional setting isn't just the time when learning occurs. It's when you wake up and then when you go to bed, like everything in that time period, no matter what your situation is learning and growing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the more that you get into homeschooling and understand that, the more I guess it's not a weight on your shoulders. You're so responsible for that. Like how my kids are interacting outside right now, I can hear them. And as a mother, I'm like going, oh, should I be going out there at the set? Like, are they right? Do they need something to eat right now? Like they're okay. They're okay. But, it really is like you're teaching them in every way how to interact with each other. This is even before opening up a school book.
Yeah. Responsibility, all of that.
Every single thing. It just keeps going. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yep. Here's a question for you. What would you say were the most draining parts? Because, we can talk about the benefits of homeschooling, which we would all say are immense. But it's, it's not, homeschooling isn't something that people think, you do it and then it's just this perfect solution. Like what have you found to be draining? And maybe why was that, do you think?
The first thing that comes to my mind, maybe you might be able to find something, I don't know, that's better. But I don't know. For me, it's when my child doesn't understand a concept. And you've said it 75,000 times. There's so many funny videos and memes out there of like a parent, like, what's 2 apples plus 4 apples? And the kid's like, 20. Yeah. And then like, again, they say more. And then at the end, they're like, what's 2 apples? And that can happen. So you're like, dear God, give me strength. To teach a very simple, basic concept.
Because if they're in your classroom and they don't get it, you're like, okay, poor you. When it's your own kid, you've got that.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
I remember that as a child everyone's got that memory of like the dinner table and the parents are trying to teach. Like for me, it was time, and I just had no idea what was going on. And then I remember one day in class, and actually just the penny dropped, and I was like, I get it.
I get it now.
A week or two before, it was just like they were losing them.
I was going to say, were your parents like, or were they like, not a problem, Kale, that's fine?
No, they were losing their mind. They were. Yeah,
you do. There is times where you go, I can't, like, I don't understand how you don't get this. But
that's the element of, I guess it's not intentional, but or maybe it is intentional. When you're sending your kids to school, often you're like, all right, they'll look after the education.
Yes.
It's not on me as a parent. And, we've been on the other side of that where we're like,
it's not true. You still need to help.
As a teacher, where you're still responsible for XYZ as the parent. I can't take all of it on.
Yes.
But there is that sort of draining element as the parent that you're responsible by and large for what your kid knows and understands and how they're then going to be able to make an impact in the world. I can't say, their teachers weren't so great. I'll blame them, right?
I know people that have said that.
Definitely, but there's that sort of element. I think another draining part, and it's not just because we're, overseas at the moment, is that for the most part, everything is on Jennifer and I, or mainly Jennifer, like 24/7. And so we don't have the additional supports because at the moment we're at, sure, overseas, you might be like, oh, you're not close to anyone in away from Australia. But even when we were in Australia, we didn't have all right, we know that there's an afternoon or a weekend that they're going to go to a friends or a grandparents or a family members or whatever it is. So it's more so just the time that it's just us. I guess almost for 14 years now, right?
Yeah.
That's how old Noah is. So to then go, okay, that is a draining component to go, all right, well, if
and that's for us. That's not for everyone.
That's just personal.
Other people, have that, and they'll have something else. So for us, speaking on our experience, that's for me, James is only, James has been teaching at school, and I've been doing that, like homeschooling the kids for 12 years, and now he's in and around, but he's also working all day long here or with you. So that definitely is a draining. That's I forgot. How could I forget?
Yeah. And I think
normal for us.
People be like, I'm just dropping the kids off here and I'm doing that. I'm like, really? Okay.
I think what's so encouraging though is that I can see that that's the sacrifice you've chosen to make, 100%. Right? And that's the sacrifice 100%. and it's draining. So, and that's the reality, but that's the sacrifice, right? Is that you're taking control over that whole part, that season of their lives. But how wonderful that once they're reaching their adult years and they're sort of out doing their thing, you can look back and go, we put everything into that. It was exhausting.
And they see it even now. The kids see it now. Like they say things now and it's so beautiful, like that to be young and to see that and to be so considerate. And they'll often put things together and go have a date night over here
on the balcony
or do something. They see that, like you need a break and I want to give you a break, or go in there and have a lie down or something. Like that's beautiful that they can be sensitive to that. And I'd hope that's through our teaching of the world around them and watching people and seeing where there's a need and observing them and going, how can I help them? How can I help you? But I was going to say something there, guys. You were saying about the sacrifice, and I'm thinking I would do it 100 times over. I've lost it. I'm sorry. There was something that I was like, oh, this is really an important point. May God bring it back to me later.
What do you think about it? I think that goes back to that whole flexibility. Like I think, we've talked about it several times, Kale, where parents feel inadequate or lacking of time or they don't know what they don't know, or they can't teach because they don't have the degree or qualification or whatever it might be. But it's then allowing yourself to be flexible in that and to go, all right, it is okay to have, all right, we're going to watch a movie every single day so that I get a break from that. Or
when the kids were so little, like I would need to put the baby down, or all my children had really bad reflux and colic for like 4 months. Excuse me. And like that means I didn't sleep for 4 months, like straight, no sleeping, the kids on me, it's terrible. Like you can have colic and that's bad, or reflux and that's bad together. Don't even. But what I'm saying to that is that, I would do, like go watch a movie, kiddies, and I'd be on the lounge with them asleep. Well,
so you just school around that, and KTA's been great to go, all right, well, this is a component of curriculum that we don't need to cover anymore because they're doing that with their KTA classes now. And so we don't have to cover that. We can do XYZ, or Jennifer, I keep saying Jennifer can teach this with them, and then they know that they've got this curriculum, or they're going to get online. And again, back to that sort of previous section we're talking about, is that different seasons, it's going to be different, right? When we're traveling, that looks different. There was, less school and more experiential and experiencing the world around them. Here, it's more schoolwork and book work as such, because we've got more sort of we're more stationed. And so each season, even with that, also looks different.
Although they've been asking, when are we traveling again? I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's not normal.
Where are we off to?
Yeah, and that's and I'm sure, like you said, once they're like, even now, I mean, they're appreciating these moments now, and even when they're going to appreciate it even more as they're older, because they'll realize we got to do what most don't, and got to experience that
now. I love my life. I can't believe what you've given me, even when James and myself have gone through so much stress and so much heartache in different things that have happened along the way, and they know it. Like, we don't hide it from them. They'll be like, why are you crying in a corner? Like, we'll explain things to them, and they take it so well, and their faith encourages us as well. So don't be afraid to explain to the right degree, things that are going on in your life. Your children, the way that you're raising them, they're going to come back tenfold and bless you. And bless you. But they will say, thank you so much for this. I can't believe that we got to go here, Mum and Dad. I can't believe that we got to experience this. And you just think, wow. Okay.
It's all that. Everything's learning.
They're grateful all the time, and I'm pleased that and if they weren't grateful, I'd be teaching them how to be grateful.
And that's the draining part, the exhaustion, that sacrifice you're giving. The things that keep you going are those moments of just innocence where they appreciate and show gratitude. And it's like, like you said, you would just do this 100 times over.
That's what I was going to say. God grants you the capacity for whatever it is that you're going through, or for whatever it is that you are, your circumstance. So for us, without having, the people around us to give that relief, or to take the kid, hey, we can do that. Our capacity is definitely higher than an average Joe.
I guess, they're not people who would.
And that's what we've noticed, like where people will find things more stressful, James, in this, and doing like different, doing life, or if they explain a situation that I would think that that's not that bad at all, I definitely would show the empathy. Like, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. Like, how can I help you? But I've noticed upon our reflection, because of our things, what we're going through, God has given us a massive capacity to handle 5 children, businesses, working on the road, not knowing where the next paycheck's going to come in or from, and watch. And God has worked through that, given us that capacity to grow and blessed us along the way. And so what I want to encourage people here is, whatever that is, yours might be completely different to our circumstance. God will meet you there and give you enough grace and space to hold you through that. And so that's for us. And so I know I've still got lots of years of schooling ahead with the children, and I know now more than ever I can do that. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There was a time where I would be sad about it. Oh, we don't have that family has, or we don't have that kind of support, or whatever. I can do. Christ strengthens.
That's powerful. You've answered a whole bunch of sort of questions that I had lined up, but that's good. I don't need to. I won't revisit them for the sake of getting through the questions. No, it's great. It was all put together beautifully. I guess if we build on that, the advice you'd have for families wanting to homeschool, maybe they're trying to build that type of hybrid model where, whether it's KTA program or other third-party platforms, what would it be to families wanting to experience, and I think we would all agree there's not a homeschooling single formula. It's all about freedom, right?
Absolutely not.
It's all about the freedom to construct how it looks. What would be your advice?
Well, firstly, if you stumble in the way of, if you're looking at social media and seeing the mums that do homeschooling in such a stunning way, I don't know their hearts. I look at it and I think it's stunning. And if that causes you to sin, or to go, oh, I can't do that, I'm not that good, don't watch it. For me, I love it. I love watching them. I'll sit there watching. Oh, I love that. I don't I have my own things that I stumble in. That inspires me, or I go, that's wonderful. So I'm going to say, don't look at those mums and think that that's the expectation, because hopefully they would also say
even their reality.
It's not even their reality. Like, I can look at that and go, I'm sure that their day is also like, they've got either more kids than I, or even less, and it doesn't work like that. So just take a step back and don't watch that, but maybe just ask me. I'm here. Or ask another homeschooling mum, hey, what did you do here? Or, a lot of the time I've been asked over the years, but how do you fit it all in? How do you fit all of this in? Or, I'm not good at science. And I'm like, welcome to the club. I'm not good at maths. You just fill that gap. And that's what we talked about earlier. So I really hope that mums can listen to this, that want to homeschool, or that are starting out, or maybe you're just on the journey like I am, and you can go, like, you just feel that need, like we do with everything in life. Oh, I got to get that done. How can I make that work? So I really want to encourage them that it's not as scary as they are thinking, and just maybe don't even announce it. 1 day trial, 2 days trial, 3 days trial. Let's say, oh, today was rubbish. We all have it, sister. We all have a rubbish day. Go have a swim with the kids. Go read a book. Just relax. Go spend a moment with the Lord and relax and get back to it the next day. That's what I would be saying. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I think it's about looking at, what is the goal, or what is the why behind someone wants to homeschool, and that could be everything from some of those stats we're looking at earlier, is that it might be a faith-based reason, it might be you recognize the agenda that's being pushed in the education system, especially now. It might be that your kids got sent home during COVID, and you're like, actually it is very that's why it's doubled, right, of 1.7 to 3.1.
I can do this after all.
This is or I'm missing out. So I think that those who are thinking about it, whether they're wanting to do some sort of hybrid or start to build it out, it really is about going, all right, what works for us, or what could work for us, to then go, it's just one thing at a time. And it doesn't have to be, I'm doing 6 hours of covering, all the subjects that they would do at school. Like, learning is different for everyone. It's going to look different for everyone. And it's starting to build, okay, what does that look like for us and our family in and around our goals? And to go, there's multiple places to get curriculum and activities and books. Like, even they do.
KTA is the best.
The same. Yeah, I was going to get to that. But
I think it is. It's fantastic.
There's spaces where half of the books that they are using for handwriting or English, you're getting from your Dymocks or the equivalent in your other countries, so your bookshops. And so to then go, all right, like, I know that I'm going to cover X, Y, Z. I want them to learn a language. Let's get a Duolingo app. That's what bring in a tutor that we know from church or from the community, or let's get them to be part of this team. And KTA, that's that whole hybrid thing, to go, well, we've got face-to-face classes for our kids on Monday, Wednesdays, but during the Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, all right, what does learning look like? It's some of their book work, it's some of their doing the KTA activities, it's where we build together what we want our kids to have. So it's the KTA, it's the English and maths that they're doing, and they've got piano, and they've got a language that they're learning because we think that's important. There's craft elements, and our eldest Noah, we want him to get in on the business, so he's starting to do some of the digital creation with our clients' reels and all of that sort of stuff. So it's building in and around. So I guess that
he's loving that. But I guess, like we talk about all the time, Cal, that if our kids said, I want to become a surgeon, what do you do as a parent? You give them every opportunity to become that surgeon. So I'd get a lot of tutors in. My brain doesn't work. I'd be like, okay, you're that way. You're really, really smart. But, so for us, the kids are like, at the moment, they're so young, but they'll say, I don't really know what I want to do. And I'm like, we definitely want you to be in on the family business and, working with us in that. And they love that idea, and so we kind of are molding and shaping them with that, and giving them the right books already to be reading about being business minded. And so, and soon that we'll drop that. Like Noah's almost 14. He will have maybe 2 years left of schooling, and then he will be all set, focused in on the business, the family business. With James.
Something that he wants to grow in. But again, it's about building that out and realizing that every opportunity is a learning opportunity, right? So growing from that.
No, fantastic. So lovely to hear. And my prayer is that for families listening, hopefully it's inspired or encouraged you, no matter where you're at in that journey of either you're doing it or you're thinking about doing it, and that it just looks different for everyone. But now more than ever, the ability to make it happen and it be high quality has never been easier with all the things that we have access to and the resources available. So I want to keep you guys in for our next segment, Around the Grounds in Christian Education, where we'll look at the latest news from around the world, not so much just homeschooling, but education in general. So here we are, Around the Grounds in Christian Education.
Around the grounds, around the grounds, around the grounds in Christian education. Hey!
Welcome back. I love this segment. James and I were just talking. We should make this its own section.
For sure.
We'll cut this out and make it its own thing. I want to frame this with the following. education policies may change by the week, which it seems like is happening, but the spiritual battle for your child's mind and heart never takes a break. And so around the world, we're seeing how governments are rewriting the rules. Christian families are responding with conviction, courage, and community. And the latest articles here, I guess, reflect that in various ways. It's almost sort of like here's a positive story, here's not so positive, and somewhere in between. But let's start with the UK. The UK is pushing a bill that requires parents to report all homeschool activity, including church, according to CBN News. And so they're basically, full registration of homeschooled children, which, to be fair, isn't that, that's in a lot of countries. But this idea of logging all extracurricular activities, including Sunday school, youth group, and church attendance, now it's make or well fiction again territory. And so the Christian education leaders have, called this intrusive and bureaucratic, of course, religious freedom violations. It seems like the state is subtly redefining what counts as education, even spiritual formation, which I think is quite alarming. How would you both respond if the government demanded record of your child's Sunday school participation?
I would ask, why do you need to know that? That's my first going. Why do you need to even know that? Like, is that for later on that you're going to hold that against it? Like, why are they also asking the same for Islamic children and the other religions? So Jews? Like, are they asking are they asking, or is it just specifically for Christian families? And then what are you going to do with those results? Where do they go?
You know what it reminded me of was the COVID time where you had to log in for church attendance.
What was that? Yeah. I'm like,
we need to know, who's here. And that was sort of, okay, for those that have read Orwell, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Full control. It's not just about education anymore. This is something far more sinister. On the flip side, let's go to Texas, where they've introduced a new Texas bill blocking... Yeah, this is good. This is a good one. Blocking the future of regulation of homeschooling. So they're basically reinforcing that parents have the primary authority over their child's education.
Damn straight.
And that the bill is essentially reflects this growing concern that federal and activist pressures could lead to overreach. So essentially what we're seeing in the UK there. And so it's this sort of reaction to be proactive in protecting Christian homeschooling families, which isn't that interesting? This contrast of the UK wanting to know and register everyone, know what you're doing on a Sunday versus Texas, God bless America, for going, no, let's actually, we need to build in some protections because of what we're seeing happening.
I love that.
I'm sure you'd like to see governments take more of Texas approach.
Every Western nation should. Like every Western.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, but I only know the Western nations too. I'm not going to be discussing. Yeah, that's right. Christian Western nation. Absolutely, it should be like that. We need to protect our children, our rights. We are the caregivers. It is our responsibility. I don't understand. I actually need to go and Google. Like it's doing my head in that the UK has asked that. Like, this is why I don't do the news very well. Like, James is like, oh, no, you don't want to listen to that. You're going to cry. You're going to be, like, very upset. And, I don't understand why the UK have asked that. But I've seen a lot of bad things that are coming out of my beloved UK. I love the UK so much.
Australia as well.
Oh, Australia with the laws with children and why do you need to know this? I don't understand. I don't understand. Sorry, guys. Yeah,
No, I agree. I think Texas is drawing that line in the sand, which is saying discipleship belongs to families, not bureaucracies, right?
Always has.
And it's that foundational belief of who owns the kids. And a lot of people think the state does. That's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And so they have the ultimate control. And that's, the more and more I talk to families within that system, that's a lot. The things happening reflect that belief, which is, you only have to look up certain statements by, Democratic leaders in the US that say things to the effect of that, they're all our kids. And, and so I think that Texas in doing that is certainly setting a precedent that I hope follows across America and
globally.
And globally with a little bit of a miracle.
That would be wonderful. I mean, like, without going into it, we definitely have read some fine print of some rules and regulations within Australia that I looked at James during COVID, and I said, we need to get out of here from some of these rules and regulations. Hit me up, guys, if you want to know what they were. I'm not saying it on here.
Yeah, we'll save that one for Rumble. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And James was like, I can't, like, I came with all this research to him, and I'm like, do you understand X, Y, and Z? And James was like, I can't
it's always
believe
about
it.
kids, right?
It's always about our children. And I'm like,
always.
I want to get out of here now. And James is like, okay, well, how do we make those steps? You know, pray. And now we're currently in Malaysia.
Yeah.
For seasons. Yes.
No, you're not alone. There's a lot of families that are thinking that way. And on that note of Australia, but the last article here is from Queensland. This happened a little while back. I remember when it first happened, where the Queensland government was essentially wanting to propose legislation that would have homeschool families align with the national curriculum and submit detailed lesson plans, which essentially is what's already happening in Victoria and New South Wales. So it was almost like that response to be unified across all states was sort of thrown into legislation in Queensland. But the good thing was that after 23,000 plus signatures, 900 plus submissions, a lot of those clauses were removed from the bill, and Christian groups and families rallied together. And so
it's so important.
That was, I think, a really good sign, particularly for Queensland, that when families actually stand up and go, no, we don't agree with this, this is overreach and excessive, that you can actually have an impact and influence on these things, right?
Yeah, your voice does matter, doesn't it? Your voice really does. Just one voice, no, start it. The seed, the ripple effect.
Yes. And, and I think this is for everywhere, even in America, where, the states that are very much free and pro what we've been discussing, the win is not permanent really anywhere. And so that's why, like you said, we need to stay alert, aware of what's happening. You have a voice, and to use it, partner with different groups, or, it's not to become a sort of political activist in that space, but, where as citizens, we're encouraged to appeal to Caesar, like Paul did. That's a biblical truth. So those that think staying silent is probably their role, no, we are meant to use our voices in that space.
Any way you can. Sometimes I just share things on my Instagram. Like I can say I'm just a mum. I don't really, I don't get out there and go advocate for things, but in the way that you live, people are watching what you post, what you like. Definitely all adds up. Somebody's watching, somebody's going to ask you, tell me a bit more about that. What's that about? I want to understand a bit more.
Yes. And what's interesting, I didn't think of this just until then, but with this rise in homeschooling that we're seeing, where we've got this dynamic, evolving landscape where governments are trying to introduce legislation to stifle it. Got governments trying to protect it and to allow it to grow. I'm noticing, I don't know if you are, across Netflix, Prime, there's hit pieces on the evangelical community, particularly the homeschooling space. And, whilst they're bringing up things that are true and shocking and horrible, there certainly seems to be an attempt to smear the whole community with that same brush. And so there's certainly, I feel like, an intentional push to paint the evangelical homeschooling community as something that it's not. So that's also happening as well. So the battle for parents' perceptions on homeschooling in that sphere, I think, has ramped up a notch.
Yeah.
And so, as critical thinkers, like we teach our children to be critical, discerning thinkers.
Absolutely.
As adults, we need to be doing that as well. Because whilst I don't like watching them, but I kind of do. I like to know how they're painting it to then.
James loves them. I can't handle it. I'm so distressed by them. I'm like, kill him. Lock him up. Death penalty right now. James is like, it's just the credits. It's just the opening scene. I'm like, I can't deal with this. But I just wanted to say on that, when you're talking about critical thinking, you would honestly hope that people watch these things and would go, that is horrific. That is, this person is a very bad person, or that community, or that cult. But that does not stand for all of them. And let maybe I
be
can
critical
still
thinkers,
look into this. But then, as I say that, there is so many people out there that I've met and dealt with myself that wouldn't think that way, and it is going to slander, and it is going to cause a problem. So again, I come back to live your life in the right way, because people are watching.
Yes.
And, live your life in such a way that people go, they're definitely Christians because of the way that they live. and I might ask them a question. They look like they are approachable, that they're not judgmental, that I could ask them a question and maybe we could have a chat about what I've just watched on Netflix. And, you know, because we would go, yeah, I know, I agree. It is terrible. Or how we get around. Have we met people like the people that you're saying in the Netflix shows that James loves watching? Like, have we come across people like that? So we can go, no, we haven't. We actually haven't. We've met crazy people because they're everywhere in school, in homeschooling, up the road, you know. We've met them. We've certainly met them, but yeah, they are everywhere.
And it's always like with that extreme on one side, you've got that on the other side, but they're not going to make a documentary necessarily about all of the other things happening on the left side of education. So we'll wrap it up with this. You know, we've discussed across the globe that it's clear the battle for who forms the child's mind and heart is intensifying. If those articles not evidence enough, I don't know what is. But it's not just political, you know, it's spiritual. And they point to this fundamental question that we'll finish on is, who is discipling your child? Is it Caesar? Is it Christ? It's one or the other, right? And so as a listener, you don't have to actually wait for permission to start discipling your children. The freedom exists now. Wherever you are, grab it. And if you're unsure where to start, you know, reach out to myself, you guys. You don't have to look far to tap into some communities to just know what could be a good place to start. So that brings us to the end of episode 5. I just want to thank you both for joining us again, Jennifer, for sharing your insights. Yeah, pleasure. And who knows, we'll probably have you back on at some time in the future.
That'll be fun.
Thanks again.
That'll be fun. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Excellent. Bye.